Part 14. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 132. Wang Shuo was shocked. Did they get the news so quickly? Although Wang Shuo did not let a single bandit go, the bandits did not return to the village at night. It was easy for Kingmu village to know which area had problems. Wang Shuo felt annoyed. If the city wall was not built well, something would happen. You two continue to practice. I'll go out for a while. Wang Shuo walked out of the tent and rubbed his forehead. Agi, do you have any good ideas? It's really useless. Chang Gui complained in his heart. Isn't it because you didn't give me soul crystals to improve my strength, so you blame me? Wang Shuo thought about it and decided to find Zhao Bang first to think of a way. Through the portal, a white light flashed, and Wang Shuo appeared in the Huangfeng Valley camp. After not coming for a long time, the wind and sand here still hurt people's faces. Old Zhao, are you there? Wang Shuo did not find Zhao Bang in the camp. You kid, you haven't come here for a long time. Do you want to be lazy now that you have soldiers? Zhao Bang leaned out of a room and scolded Wang Shuo, feeling a bit disappointed. But when he saw Wang Shuo's level, his voice stopped and he shut up. It's still a progress. Old Zhao, I'm in trouble recently. Wang Shuo walked over with a sad face. Zhao Bang was a little gloating, with a sly smile on his face. Well, tell me, let me be happy. Wang Shuo rolled his eyes at him. It's just that I want to make black iron bricks recently, but I don't know how to draw defensive runes. What should I do? Wang Shuo drooped his eyebrows and asked in confusion. What? You make black iron bricks? Zhao Bang showed a shocked look. You upgraded the town. This black iron wall is usually built after the town is upgraded. The main reason is that the construction process is more, it takes a long time, and the cost is high. No, but I got a city wall construction manual, so I plan to build the city wall bricks myself according to the steps and methods described in the manual. Wang Shuo swallowed his saliva and explained. Zhao Bang walked around in front of Wang Shuo, looked at him carefully, smiled slightly, and said in surprise, Yes. My lord Wang, you have a good opportunity. But as far as I know, drawing defense runes requires a rune master or a builder. It's normal that you, a bricklayer, can't do it. Ah, Wang Shuo showed a surprised expression, his face was very wonderful. How about this? I just happen to have a junior rune master and a summoning scroll of an intermediate architect, which can be exchanged for you. How many military merit points does it cost? Junior rune master, 5,000, intermediate architect 20,000. This scroll was originally for you to summon an architect and then build the city wall of Huangfeng Valley. Wang Shuo frowned, thinking about something in his heart. After a while, he clenched his fists, gritted his teeth, and said a few words, Then I choose the intermediate architect. Wang Shuo made this choice mainly because he wanted to build a city wall, and the architect must be more suitable. Intermediate architect summoning scroll at 1, military merit points minus 20,000. Looking at the scroll in his hand, Wang Shuo did not use it immediately. At this time, he thought about the problem of Tool Man and Soul Crystal. Old Zhao, I have accumulated a lot of soul crystals now. Do you want to use them for the Tool Man I recruited? It doesn't make much sense for you to give them directly now, Zhao Bang explained. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 133. Zhao Bang paused and then continued, The soul crystal is mainly used to enhance the power of the soul. You can also take it. As for the Tool Man, if he wants to awaken his past memories, he needs to rely on his own strength to break through Lord Zoc's soul seal. However, this process will be very difficult, but as the level increases and they are constantly stimulated, their chances of awakening will increase. If it can be upgraded to level 100, the chance is very high. It turned out to be like this, Wang Shuo suddenly realized. That is to say, giving them medicine now will only enhance the power of the soul, but it will not help much in awakening. It can be said that the earlier they take it, the stronger their soul power will be, and the power of the seal will be stronger, which will hinder their awakening. Wang Shuo was surprised. He told Zhao Bond about the phenomenon that Ayub and Gong Zheng can have more emotions. This must be a sign that the soul seal is loose, Wang Shuo asked seriously. Zhao Bond nodded and said, "That's right, but it's not that simple to break through the soul seal." At this time, he recalled the difficult process of regaining his memory and couldn't help but sigh. However, you need to note that once tool people like them who are recruited by the Lord awaken their self-awareness, their loyalty may change because they already have independent personalities. Wang Shuo nodded and said calmly, "Let's talk about it then." It's too early to say this now. After Wang Shuo said goodbye to Zhao Bond, he returned to the territory. The summoning scroll was used immediately. Wang Shuo has now figured out the principle of this summoning scroll. Stronger organizations or individuals can use special means to make such scrolls. Scrolls usually state specific requirements, such as mercenary summoning scrolls, which are summoned to help fight. For example, the life profession summoning scroll comes to help you make items, or do things according to the employer's requirements. This type of scroll is equivalent to giving employers and employees an opportunity to discuss business face to face. There was a flash of white light. A tall man with thick eyebrows walked out, wearing a gray sweatshirt with a gopher pattern painted on his chest. Wang Shuo narrowed his eyes, pulled back his face, and twitched the corners of his mouth unnaturally. Talent. He couldn't believe that an uncle who dressed in such a style could actually be an architect. "Did you summon me here?" The big man's face was dark and his voice was rough. "Yes, my name is Wang Shuo, what do you call me?" Wang Shuo responded politely. These people must have been summoned from outside the territory. If they can build a good relationship, they may be able to gain unexpected rewards. "You can also call me Mr. Architect," the big man said with some embarrassment, his face feeling slightly hot. Wang Shuo thought to himself, is this guy so arrogant? He directly checked it with the eye of delirium. Good guy. This architect is actually called Xiao Liatang. Wang Shuo tried his best not to laugh. After all, he had received professional training. Master Architect, I am calling you here this time to ask you to teach me how to draw the defensive runes on the bricks of the Black Iron City. This kind of teaching task depends on your qualifications. If you don't have the talent in this area, I can't teach it. And the fee for this kind of task is not low, Xiao Liatang said leisurely, and he had been observing Wang Shuo's expression with sharp eyes. Wang Shuo naturally saw the other party's purpose, wasn't it just to see someone's quotation? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 134. Master Architect, my territory has been completely destroyed. Now I need the protection of the city wall. So, how much do you think is appropriate? 1 hour, 10,000 gold coins, Xiao Liatang asked tentatively. You are robbing me. This is simply asking for my life. Wang Shuo's face changed and he exclaimed. Of course, Wang Shuo was pretending to be all this. In his advanced backpack, there are more than 6 million energy crystals. In the Dewey domain, he is definitely the undisputed number one in financial strength. 9,000 gold coins, Xiao Liatang sniffed and said again. 1,000 gold coins, Wang Shuo said decisively. I am a mid-level architect, and I am only worth this price. Xiao Liatang's mouth was crooked with anger. If I hadn't thought that if I didn't make some money, this business trip would be a big loss. He even wanted to turn around and leave. Wang Shuo looked at it and seemed that he had pressed too hard. He didn't know the market price. Wait a minute, Wang Shuo pondered for a while, gritted his teeth and said, how about this, I will give you 5,000 energy crystals directly, and you help me train 10 architects. What do you think? Haha, goodbye. How many do you want? Wang Shuo was anxious. Do you know how to become an architect? Xiao Liateng laughed coldly in anger. Wang Shuo shook his head, showing an expectant look, I don't know. Xiao Liateng waved his hand, showing a look like looking at a country boy, and said lightly, forget it, I'll tell you. To become an architect, you must be a low-level life profession such as a mason or a carpenter. Only after you have mastered 4 related skills can you master the profession of architect. Of course, if you can find a senior architect and worship him as a teacher, or you can directly obtain the architect's job transfer certificate, these are ignored. However, it is more difficult to obtain an architect's job transfer certificate than to worship a senior architect as a teacher. Wang Shuo was stunned when he heard it, and then, Wang Shuo showed a charming smile and looked straight at Xiao Liateng, which made him hairy. Don't think of me, I will not accept apprentices, and I am not qualified to accept apprentices. Seeing the other party's firm attitude, Wang Shuo sighed helplessly. There are 11 masons in my territory now. You can teach us how to draw defensive runes first. As for how much it will cost, you can name a price. Xiao Liateng thought about it and just gave some pointers. Drawing defensive runes was not difficult. But he still pretended to be very embarrassed. He paced a few steps, touched his chin with his hand, and said in a deep voice, I usually charge by the hour. Your class is a large class. The price is 100,000 gold coins. Then he added, let me make it clear first. If your qualifications are too poor and you can't learn, I can only teach you for 1 day at most. When Wang Shuo heard this, he frowned and was worried. Is this reliable? But he thought again that if he really learned it, he would have another way to make money in the future. Seeing Wang Shuo's tangled expression, Xiao Liateng was afraid that this kid would give up and refuse to learn. So he explained, under normal circumstances, a mason only needs 4 hours to learn. I have a request, teach at least 10. 5. This is 100,000 gold coins, at least 9. 8. Good deal. Xiao Liateng stamped his feet, thinking that it was not good, as if he had said too much. Since he had agreed, there was nothing to regret. Afterwards, Wang Shuo summoned all the masons and Xiao Liateng began to teach them. In a huge tent, Xiao Liateng sat at the head, and a pot of tea had already been brewed on the wooden table in front of him. He cleared his throat, glanced at everyone, and began to speak. The method of drawing this defensive rune is actually very simple, just. After listening to Xiao Liateng's explanation for a while, Wang Shuo finally realized why he could not successfully draw the rune. It turned out that the pen used for drawing must be a special rune pen. High-level beast hair is needed, preferably the wolf boss, that is, the small tuft of tail hair on the tail of the wolf that has evolved into a demon beast. In addition, the pen body needs to be infused with energy crystals. This is just a rune pen. When drawing runes, you must infuse mental power into the tip of the pen, just like releasing skills. There are also requirements for the stroke sequence of the rune pattern. Xiao Liateng has been talking for almost an hour, and the tea has been changed twice. Do you understand everything? Xiao Liateng was very excited and intoxicated after speaking. Do you understand it? The people below were a little afraid to answer. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 135. Everyone was exposed to this kind of knowledge for the first time, and they were a little unsure in their hearts. Forget it, practice makes perfect, go prepare the materials first, and let's practice. But at this time, Wang Shuo looked a little embarrassed. Although Wang Shuo killed a large number of bosses, there was no bronze boss of the wolf type. The most suitable silver-level white wolf boss was swallowed directly by the toad. "Is tiger hair okay?" Wang Shuo asked with some concern. "Just make do," Xiao Liatang said reluctantly, looking at Wang Shuo's territory, which looked dilapidated, and he didn't have any expectations. After a while, the required materials were ready. At first glance, it turned out to be the tiger hair of the silver boss, and he couldn't help but look up to Wang Shuo. Xiao Liatang started from making talisman pens and taught everyone step by step. Seeing Wang Shuo mixed in and making talisman pens, Xiao Liatang showed a strange look. He had never seen which lord would make things like city wall bricks. Could it be that the other party was in a momentary mood? Yes, that must be the case. So, he stopped paying attention to Wang Shuo. Other masons in the territory cherished this opportunity very much, especially those who had not yet been able to comprehend the making of city wall bricks, and they worked very hard. It must be said that Xiao Liatang was still very good at teaching students. After another 3 hours, the first person finally learned it. This person was Yan Fuja. Seeing a hexagonal pattern on a brick in front of him, the light was endless. Xiao Jingtang smiled with relief. He seemed to see that 10,000 energy crystals were about to be obtained. This trip was a big profit. He was ecstatic in his heart, but his face did not show it. Not long after, Wang Shuo also successfully drew the defense rune. Xiao Liatang looked at Wang Shuo, and was a little shocked. He was surprised and said in his heart, "This lord actually has this talent." Wang Shuo also smiled. Since he had already mastered this technology, Wang Shuo thought that he might as well let Xiao Liatang demonstrate in full how to make city bricks, so that the masons in the territory could avoid some detours. Now time is tight, and they are equivalent to conducting technical research. There is a ready-made master, so why not use it? Under Wang Shuo's soft and hard persuasion, Wang Shuo added another 1,000 energy crystals before the other party agreed. At the kill factory, Xiao Liatang began to talk about how to select materials, how to mix mud, and the proportions of various materials such as iron powder, clay, and water. Wang Shuo was overwhelmed by the countless knowledge and skills that flooded into his mind, like a revelation. It is true that listening to your words is better than reading for 10 years. Many things that I understood before suddenly became clear. Your mixing mud skill has been upgraded to level 4. Unexpectedly, the skill he first acquired was upgraded. Wang Shuo was overjoyed and wanted to practice it immediately. "Okay, next, you guys try it," Xiao Liatang said, and asked everyone to start practicing. Wang Shuo felt that this architect could make black iron bricks by himself without even the assistance of the system. After another 2 hours, everyone's skill level had improved to varying degrees. Especially Yan Fuja, his mud smoothing skill actually went directly from level 2 to level 4. Wang Shuo had to marvel at his talent. "Lord, the process of making bricks will take about 1 day." Before the other party finished speaking, Wang Shuo's heart skipped a beat. "What? It takes so long? Of course, this is black iron bricks. By the time this brick is made, it's probably too late. Is there any way to get bricks quickly?" "Yes," Xiao Liatang said with a smile. "What way?" Wang Shuo was a little excited. There was no way, the bandits' attack was imminent. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 136. Of course I bought it. And I have it here, and I'll give you a discount for larger quantities. You carry city wall bricks with you. Wang Shuo raised his eyebrows and his eyes widened. After all, I rely on this to make a living, so of course I have to prepare some, but I'm afraid I don't have enough for the quantity you need. He then said, in addition to buying, there is another way to quickly make city wall bricks, but the firing time cannot be shortened. What method? Use the construction acceleration scroll. Wang Shuo thought of the many acceleration scrolls he had obtained when he cleaned up the battlefield before, so he took one out. It's this thing. Xiao Liateng took the acceleration construction scroll and slapped it in his hands. He saw his hands moving so quickly that only the afterimage could be seen. In a few breaths, he got dozens of city brick embryos. Wang Shuo's eyes widened, his face full of incredible expressions. The acceleration construction scroll can actually be used in this way. Wang Shuo also tried it and was overjoyed. How many bricks do you have for the city wall? How much is one? Not many, only 50,000, 2 gold coins per brick, friendly price. Oh my god, it's ridiculously expensive. Didn't you say that you'll get a discount for larger quantities? Wang Shuo felt it was too expensive. This industry is really lucrative. Xiao Liateng suddenly regretted saying this. Now it's a seller's market, a unique business. Xiao Liateng narrowed his eyes, frowned and said, how about this, I'll give you a 10% discount. That's good enough. Damn, they're all profiteers. Wang Shuo was full of complaints. Seeing Wang Shuo hesitate, he was afraid that the deal would fail. After all, the other party already had several people who could make city wall bricks. I'm also responsible for helping to lay the city wall bricks on the city wall. Wang Shuo sighed in his heart, frowned, and said decisively, deal. While it was still light, Wang Shuo called Yan Fuji to follow Xiao Liateng and learn how to lay city wall bricks. After a simple survey of the terrain, Xiao Liateng waved his hand, and a gully appeared out of thin air in front of him. Wang Shuo was shocked again by his move. Xiao Liateng explained, I first used the mud pit, then used the mud dilution to collect the silt inside. But I didn't see you add water. How to make a mud pit? I was just faster, Xiao Liateng said lightly. Damn. You're pretending again. This step is called laying the foundation, and you must dig into stones or hard ground. Then he took out the wall bricks, this black iron grade wall brick, about 1 meter long, 40 centimeters wide and high. Each rectangular surface has 2 defense symbols drawn on it, and one at each end. In this step, the most important thing is to align the seams of the defense runes. Don't you need cement or something? No, these bricks are equivalent to magnets. As long as the gaps are aligned, they will connect to each other and become a whole. Wang Shuo nodded. As his hands kept moving, in a cup of tea, he built 2 10-meter-high walls. The middle was temporarily hollow and needed to be filled with soil. The width was about 5 meters. The walls of a general town are about 10 meters. Such a town is enough for Wang Shuo's village to be upgraded to a town. How is it? Have you learned it? Xiao Liateng looked at Wang Shuo and asked. Wang Shuo and Yan Fuji are both talented and good at doing this kind of thing. Well, I can give it a try, Yan Fuji said confidently. Wang Shuo also took the wall bricks from Xiao Liateng and started adding them to the wall. It's like playing a jigsaw puzzle, but in 3D. Soon the two of them mastered the skills. It was getting dark, and they had to wait until tomorrow to continue. There are still 2 days left. I hope everything is still in time. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 137. At night, Wang Shuo's village-level administrative center was finally built. Compared with the previous courtyard, it is more magnificent. On the tall lintel, 3 large gilded characters Lord's Mansion were written in vermilion. The stone lions on both sides were energetic and lifelike, as if they were coming to life. There were bells hanging on the 4 corners of the eaves, and the breeze blew, making a crisp ding-dong sound. Du and Wengzi led Wang Shuo and Suo Yang and walked in together. The courtyard was larger than before, surrounded by corridors, and various patterns were carved on it. There were plum blossoms, bamboos, rocks, and various birds and beasts. The most spacious meeting room was paved with flat floor tiles, each of which was as smooth as a mirror. In front of it was a domineering throne, and 2 green dragons were carved on the armrests. On both sides, there were several chairs, all of which were exquisite and simple. Wang Shuo was overjoyed when he saw it. This was simply too luxurious. Shocked, Wang Shuo looked at Duan Wengzi and wondered, how could these things be completed in such a short time? Boss, you don't know that carpenters also have skills. They can complete the carving work with one skill, and they are more efficient when they cooperate with each other. Most of the materials we use are ready-made. We still have a lot of inventory for things like tiles. Wang Shuo understood. Well done, I like this meeting hall. Wang Shuo nodded with satisfaction, looked at Duan Wengzi and gave him a thumbs up, praising him. After the tour, Wang Shuo and his group returned to the meeting hall. There are many rooms here, you can choose one, Wang Shuo said happily. Boss, this is your residence. You can give the extra rooms to some distinguished guests to stay overnight, which will make you look particularly serious. Then, Duan Wengzi said nervously, I and Suo Yang and others plan to build a few more independent courtyards next to the Lord's mansion. Do you think it's okay? Wang Shuo was in a good mood at this time and said with a smile, why not? I can't treat my brothers unfairly. Great, boss is the best. Duan Wengzi's face was full of smiles, and he winked at Suo Yang. Then, boss, you should rest early, and we won't disturb you. Go, you should rest early too. By the way, please invite Mr. Xiao Laoteng to rest here. Okay, Duan Wengzi pulled Suo Yang and ran out quickly. Outside the gate, Duan Wengzi smiled and said to Suo Yang, look, I told you that the boss would agree. You are the one with the most clever ideas. This way, we don't have to squeeze together with other refugees. Haha. Let's go and invite the architect together. Early the next morning, Wang Shuo woke up, stretched his body, and felt comfortable all over. I slept very well last night. Mainly, this bed is so damn comfortable. Wang Shuo opened the window and breathed in a breath of fresh air. He was very energetic. He couldn't help but sigh that Duan Wengzi was really a good subordinate. He did things very well. At the dining table in the temporary cafeteria, Wang Shuo looked at Xiao Laoteng and asked, did you rest well last night, sir? Not bad. Xiao Laoteng took a bite of the meat bun and said casually. Not bad. It seems that this guy must have been used to a good life. Wang Shuo also drank a mouthful of porridge, which flowed into his stomach very smoothly. Instantly, a warm current spread throughout his body, warm and cozy. Previously, he bought a lot of food in Nanshan Market, and also harvested a huge amount of wild animal meat, so now he has no shortage of food, and every meal is large and full. Moreover, the food made by Zhou Keming, the chef of the territory, is also very delicious, and Wang Shuo always eats very full. He even doubted whether he would get fat if he continued to eat like this. If this matter was known by some people, they would definitely spit on him. In this dangerous world, some people are starving, but Wang Shuo is worried about getting fat. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 138. After eating and drinking, Wang Shuo asked Ayub about yesterday's situation, gave a few words about paying attention to safety, and then continued to build the city wall with Xiao Laoteng. They were divided into 2 groups and worked together. Some were responsible for making city wall bricks and some were responsible for building the wall. Wang Shuo took out all the construction acceleration scrolls. The speed of the masons simply took off, and they worked like a spinning top. The consumption of mental power could not keep up, so Wang Shuo went directly to Zhao Bond and exchanged some medicines to replenish his mental power. The masons worked like chicken blood. In one morning, 20 kills were fired. In the past 2 days, refugees have continued to come to seek refuge, and the manpower has continued to increase. In the afternoon, all the 50,000 city wall bricks purchased were laid on the city wall. Wang Shuo's face was filled with joy when he saw the tall city wall. Wang Shuo calculated that if the entire city wall was built, it would be estimated that 400,000 city wall bricks would be needed. This made him worried. Even according to the current progress, there was still at least a shortfall of more than 250,000 yuan. Master Architect, our city wall bricks seem to be quite different. Just a few more days to build it, and it will be there. This is a huge project. You have to be more patient. No, there will be a group of bandits attacking my village the day after tomorrow, Wang Shuo explained helplessly. After hearing this, Xiao Liatang frowned and pondered for a long time, but could not think of a good solution. He shrugged, spread his hands and said, "Lord, I have sold all my bricks to you, and there is nothing I can do about it." "I'll think of another way," Wang Shuo said weakly with a gloomy face. After thinking for a while, his eyes lit up. Since he was buying bricks, it wasn't who he was buying. He immediately returned to the council chamber and summoned Hadro. "Lord, how long has it been, but you have already missed me again?" After Hadro agreed to Wang Shuo's request, he immediately appeared in the magnificent meeting hall. Hadro took one look at the spacious and luxurious hall and was shocked. Wang Shuo said straight to the point, "Hadro, I am in urgent need of black iron city wall bricks. Is there any way you can get this?" Hadro frowned and thought for a long time, as if thinking about whether he could get such a thing. After a while, he asked softly, "Lord, how much do you need?" 300,000 yuan. Wang Shuo is not afraid of more, but he is afraid that the quantity is not enough. When the time comes, a section of the city wall is missing and the defensive formation cannot be connected as a whole, which will be embarrassing. "When do you want it?" "The sooner the better, noon tomorrow at the latest." "Let me think about it." After a while, he said to Wang Shuo, "Lord, the time is too short. Isn't this matter difficult to handle?" "Huh, old fox, it's hard to handle, so I'll just have to pay more," Wang Shuo thought in his heart. "Tell me, what does it take to do it?" Wang Shuo could only let him control him at this time. "Lord, it's like this. We have a lot of sellers who bake this kind of city bricks. I have to use the teleportation array to go to other places to buy them. And there are too many. I guess I have to go to many houses, or even just acquired at a high price, so." He paused for a moment, then lowered his voice and said, "This price is higher than usual. Lord, can you accept it? Tell me the number." 80 silver coins apiece. Hadro was a little worried, wondering if the price quoted was too high. "What did you say?" Wang Shuo's expression changed, and his whole face became gloomy. "Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory." Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 139. Hadro saw that Wang Shuo's reaction was too extreme. He had never reacted like this before. Seeing that he had lost his composure, Wang Shuo took a deep breath. This Xiao Laoteng is really a profiteer, even more cunning than Hadro. Damn, 2 gold coins are still a friendly price. "Sorry, Mr. Hadro, I just thought of something bad. You said it was 80 silver coins, right?" Yes. Hadro had to bite the bullet and said. "Okay, let's do it. Remember, the sooner the better." Wang Shuo forced a smile. "Okay, no problem, Lord, just wait for my good news." Seeing Wang Shuo so straightforward, Hadro breathed a sigh of relief. Now Wang Shuo is already a big customer of his and should not be offended easily. After Hadro left, Wang Shuo sat for a long time before calming down. After calming down, Wang Shuo didn't seem to be as angry as he was at that time. It turns out that all businessmen are dishonest. After all, if you don't make money, you are a bastard. If I were in this position, I would probably ask for a lot of money. But even if it is human nature, Wang Shuo still feels a little uncomfortable. He must seek justice. Wang Shuo walked out of the Lord's mansion. At this time, 2 residential buildings had been built, temporarily solving the housing problem of the people. And in front of the Lord's mansion, a huge open space was left for the construction of the central square. Wang Shuo thought of it at this time. He seemed to have 2 koi. Such important territory guardian animals should be kept in a safer place. He turned and walked into the Lord's mansion and came to the backyard. In the newly planted soil, there were unknown flowers and plants, and yanner fell to the ground. Next to a small pond, a few willow trees were newly planted, and it was unknown whether they could survive. In the pond, the rockery made of a few rocks looked a little casual and uncarved, but it also had a rough charm. Wang Shuo put the koi into the pond, and immediately, the 2 little fish swam freely and happily, very smart. Agi, do you know what this kind of spiritual beast eats? Lord, you can try to feed it with energy crystals. Wang Shuo's eyebrows moved, and he was surprised. Can such a small mouth eat energy crystals? After all, energy crystals are the size of pigeon eggs, and the texture is extremely hard. Wang Shuo took out one and threw it into the water. The 2 koi immediately swam over and took a bite, and actually bit off a small piece. Looking at the scene in front of him, Wang Shuo smiled. It's quite interesting. Wang Shuo thought about it, and took out the spring of life and placed it directly on the rockery. There is also a 6G signal base station obtained before, which is also placed in the backyard. Immediately, the system prompt sounded. It is detected that you have built a system network. You can establish a village chat channel and the signal covers all your territories. Please name your village chat channel. Leader chat group. Leader chat group channel, named successfully. Wang Shuo was the first to speak in the group. Hello, everyone. I'm Wang Shuo. From today on, we have established a chat group for our Wana village. Everyone can speak freely in the group. Duan Wengzi, boss is mighty, boss is awesome. Suo Yang, Lord, may you have great fortune and unify the great Huai region. Wang Shuo, Suo Yang, you have learned bad things from Duan Wengzi, smirk. By Lil Yang, wow, this is fun. Finally, there is a place to brag and fart. I want to post some messages. Gulji, no posting. If you want to post messages, just post them in your mouth. Wang Shuo, aren't you in the ancient battlefield? How come you have a signal from so far away? Gulji, Lord, we are back. Ayub said that the monsters that should be swiped have been almost swiped. There are still a few bosses left. I want to come back and ask you for instructions on our next move. Wang Shuo was thoughtful when he heard this. His expression changed and he walked out of the Lord's mansion quickly. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 140. When I came to the door, I happened to meet Ayub. Lord. Ayub and others bowed. Wang Shuo glanced over a few people and found that their levels had improved. Haha, you're not injured. Wang Shuo strode over and punched Ayub. My body has become much stronger again. How can these little skeletons hurt me? Ayub showed off his arms confidently. By the way, how is your understanding of the formation? Wang Shuo thought of the one-word long snake formation experience he gave him. Back to the Lord, I haven't fully understood it yet. It may take a few days. Ayub was a little ashamed and his old face turned red. If he was asked to go into battle to kill the enemy, he would definitely rush forward, but if he was asked to study, this would be a bit difficult for him. Don't be in a hurry, take your time. Wang Shuo saw his expression and probably knew what he was thinking. Don't force anything, just make it happen naturally. Wang Shuo planned to go to the ancient battlefield. Before leaving, he called Duan Wengzi and Suo Yang to explain a few things about territory construction. They were told to establish the blacksmith shop, carpentry shop, and tailor shop as soon as possible, and the production of military supplies must be given top priority. Now Wang Shuo no longer needs to make city wall bricks. Yan Fuzhe is already able to stand alone. Wang Shuo found Xiao Liateng again and talked to him about the previous agreement. Since there are no ready-made city wall bricks, all the masons are seizing the time to make brick embryos. At this moment, Xiao Liateng was a little idle, hiding in the room drinking tea. When he saw Wang Shuo coming, he was a little angry, because there was no one to learn how to draw defensive runes with him, so the agreement between them could not be fulfilled. But thinking that this trip can earn 200,000 gold coins, even if it takes an extra day, it will be a bloody profit. Thinking of this, his mood immediately improved. However, Wang Shuo was just the opposite. When he saw Xiao Liateng, Wang Shuo became furious. Master Architect, I am going on a long trip. I will pay you a deposit of 10,000 gold coins first. The remaining gold coins include the money to buy city wall bricks. I will give it to you after our agreement is completed. Wang Shuo smiled half-heartedly. Said. This. Wang Shuo then said, as you can see, my village is very small and was completely destroyed. Now I have to buy energy crystals to pay off my debt. Okay then, Xiao Liateng opened his mouth, but hesitated. After a while, he still said softly, it's just that, Lord, I don't know when I will let them continue to practice drawing defensive runes. Wang Shuo stood at the door and smiled, Master Architect, you also know that my territory is in danger now. This city wall brick is nothing more than a life-saving straw. At present, the most important thing is the brick embryo. Wang Shuo turned around, looked at the sky, and said casually, let's wait until the brick embryo is finished. After handing Xiao Liateng 1,000 energy crystals, Wang Shuo led his men into the ancient battlefield. Wang Shuo, long time no see. You are getting stronger and stronger now. Zhao Bang smiled happily when he saw the dozen or so people led by Wang Shuo. Old Zhao, please stop making fun of me. Wang Shuo looked back at his troops with a happy face. I was secretly proud of myself. Tell you good news. Zhao Bang approached Wang Shuo pretending to be mysterious and whispered. Wang Shuo raised his eyebrows and asked suspiciously, what's the good news? Lord Survival, my shelter in Crocodile territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 141. The tool men I have here have been refreshed. Some soldiers with good qualifications have appeared. Wang Shuo had already recruited the 10 people with the best qualifications before. At this time, he was worried about where to find people to form his own cavalry regiment. This good news came just in time. How many military merit points do I have now? 6W. So many. Wang Shuo looked at Ayub in surprise. He was not lazy at all. Wang Shuo checked the recruitment list. I found that the price of a toolman with similar qualifications as Li Jiangguo and others had actually increased to 1,000 military points. Old Zhao, you are not kind, you actually raised the price quietly. Wang Shuo joked, deliberately keeping a straight face. You kid, don't be dissatisfied. The levels of these tool men all start at level 10. The price is naturally more expensive. Wang Shuo didn't waste any time and directly recruited 20 people. Because he had to exchange a cavalry transfer order for each person, he could only recruit so many people with his current military merit points. As for the war horses, I got a lot from killing the horse bandits before, which is completely enough. Shua, Shua. Bursts of white light flashed, and a large group of soldiers appeared in front of them. Lord, although everyone's clothes were shabby, they were still in good spirits. At least it seems to be much stronger than when Gong Zheng and the others were at the beginning. Moreover, all the qualifications are A-level, which is what makes Wang Shuo most happy. You must know that with A-level qualifications, plus one's own territory attributes, the level is increased by 1 level, and the increase in allocable free attributes is as many as 5 points. Okay, Wang Shuo smiled and nodded. Then they exchanged the cavalry transfer certificate for them. In this way, his cavalry team began to take shape. Just 6W of military merit points were completely consumed again, which made Wang Shuo feel a little distressed, but it was definitely worth it. He still has many weapons and armors. The beasts attacked the city and sent him hundreds of sets of sophisticated equipment. In a short time, he no longer had to worry about equipment problems. Let's go and meet the boss for a while. Wang Shuo is full of fighting spirit and heroic spirit. Wait. At this time, Ayub's rich voice sounded. Lord, the boss we have to deal with this time is nothing to worry about. We want to enter the orange area and kill the ghost. He looked troubled and said worriedly, and this ghost can attack from the soul and has no entity. There is nothing we can do. When Wang Shuo heard this, his brows twisted into the character Chuan. Wang Shuo was well aware of the horror of this ghost. He thought back then, he was chased for several kilometers. He turned to look at Ban Zhao, his face a little uncertain, and asked tentatively, Old Zhao, can you do anything? Ha ha. Zhao Bang laughed loudly, half squinted his eyes, and said confidently, of course, this is also the second stage of the ancient battlefield. If you want to deal with ghosts, soul-protecting equipment is essential. The low-end version includes Soul Defense Talisman and Soul Attack Talisman. A piece of talisman paper costs 500 military merit points and can last for 1 hour. What? Lao Zhao, are you kidding? Wang Shuo opened his mouth wide, his pupils suddenly enlarged, and his face was full of disbelief. Wang Shuo's confidant and favorite General Gong Zheng was only worth 500 military points at first, but now a piece of talisman paper costs 500. Wang Shuo found it difficult to accept. Is this talisman made of gold? Of course I'm not joking. These ghosts are monsters of more than 20 levels. Each one can provide 10 military merit points. Naturally, the cost of killing them is a bit high. At this time, Wang Shuo was confused. Old Zhao, do you know how these talismans are made? Haha, it's too early to talk about this issue now. You will know when you have a certain life skill and have practiced it at an advanced level. Hearing this, Wang Shuo sighed. Now his military merit points are only in single digits. Let's earn military merit points first, and we'll talk about other things later.